love a good studio era movie. They had this warm whimsy to them that I think we've lost over the years. I think Christmas movies at this time are imbued with the same warmth the noughties brought to Christmas movies. And as someone who grew up in the noughties, I wanted to see that replicated with some older films. And the 40s really bring us into the original, cozy, inviting, special movies that really help to form the commercial idea of Christmas itself. I'm going to go in chronological order of when these movies came out as I go through my list of 1940s movies that I watched. Starting with 1940s Shop Around the Corner. This one's got my man James Stewart, Jimmy Stewie, J Stew in it, so I knew it was going to be a winner with me. It's about a shop clerk who writes to a mysterious girl that he's falling for, and as it nears Christmas, he decides that he's finally ready to meet her in person. But hijinks ensues, and he realises he might have known her the entire time. It's a fun little film, it's very bare bones, enemy to lovers, and hidden identities trope. It's also set in Prague, even though literally no one seems to be from Prague, with most of the cast speaking in a normal transatlantic Hollywood accent. Everything looks like it's set in America too, and all the customers are from Prague, but they don't sound like it, yet they all play in Czech currency. It's a fun old-timey Christmas watch and based on the play Parfumery, which also inspired the movie You've Got Mail. In 1942, we get Holiday Inn. Holiday Inn, however, is not a good time. It did, however, give us White Christmas, the song and not the far superior Christmas film A White Christmas, which is my favourite Christmas film. This film is about Jim, played by Bing Crosby, being betrayed by his girlfriend who leaves him for her dance partner, Ted, who's also Jim's good friend and played by Fred Astaire. As a result, Jim leaves show business behind to run a Holiday Inn with his partner Linda, but then Ted arrives at the inn one day and tries to steal Linda away. There's some interesting dance and musical numbers in this film, but the film leaves you bloody reeling because there's a jump scare blackface scene in this film. Everyone, after I looked on Letterboxd, seemed to know this was coming, and I did not. I was not forewarned, okay? Minus 1,000 out of 10 for being racist. Stay clear of this movie. 1944, Meet Me in St. Louis. This is a film that masquerades as a Christmas movie, I think, mainly because Judy Garland debuts the song Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas at the end before Frank Sinatra records it for himself. Judy Garland is set to sing at any point in this movie. It's not really a musical, it's simply, how many times do we think we can get Judy to sing? It's not even Christmas until the last 30 minutes of the movie. It is, however, a nice family film with a Christmas touch though. It's bright, airy, comforting, and nice to look at, but most of all it's about a family who seem to want to stay in St. Louis instead of moving to New York, which I think is the most unsettling thing about it, really. In 1946, we get It's a Wonderful Life. It's a classic, and for good bloody reason. It's another J. Stew classic. He's my enigmatic man of the studio era. Never a bad film or performance from Jamesy Boy. So here he plays a frustrated, suicidal businessman who is sent an angel from heaven, Clarence, so that he can change his heart. Shit. And then in 1946, we get It's a Wonderful Life. It's a classic, and for good bloody reason. It's another J. Stew classic. He's my enigmatic man of the studio era. Never a bad film or performance from Jamesy Boy. Here he plays a frustrated, suicidal businessman who is sent an angel from heaven to help him. To change his heart, she shows him what life would be like without his existence. This is such a heartwarming film. It's cozy, it's Christmas, it's pretty, it's Frank Capra at his best. I am a It Happened One Night hater at heart. It emphasises the importance on community, empathy, morality, family, and it does it in the most touching way imaginable. It simply works. If you have not seen this movie, what are you doing? You need to put it at high priority and get to it. Dickens wanted Scrooge to wake up and see that being alone and rich sucks. A Wonderful Life says you've got people in your life and that's all the riches that you need. Now stop killing yourself and go love your family. In 1947, A Miracle on 34th Street. It's a classic. Not for me, however. It's not a bad film. It's super sweet and joyful at the start when it's simply about the real-life Santa being recruited to be the fake Santa for Macy's Christmas Day Parade after Santa that they usually 1947, A Miracle on 34th Street. It's a classic. Not for me, however. It's not a bad film. It's super sweet and joyful at the start when it's simply about the real-life Santa Claus being recruited to be the fake Santa for Macy's Christmas Parade, after the Santa that they initially hired gets fired for being drunk on the job. But suddenly the film veers into being a court drama after Santa Claus, here named Kris Kringle, gets institutionalized for claiming that he's the real Santa. In general, it's a heartwarming story about a single mother who has taught her daughter to be sensible and non-farcical until she realises maybe having some imagination and fun can provide happiness for her kid, which Santa in this film teaches is a necessity for life. The film also massively pushes for the model nuclear family, so minus points for that, especially because the couple are so dry in comparison to the family dynamic. 1947 also gives us The Bishop's Wife. Now this movie is kind of strange. It also has a modern remake with Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston too. And honestly, I don't know how anyone watching this film was like, yeah, we need to modernize this one, definitely. This movie is about an angel that comes to Earth to give guidance to a bishop who wants to build a new cathedral in his area with the funds of some rich patrons. And apparently this angel thing coming to help people is a big thing in 1940s Christmas movies. But I guess it does make sense, it is Christmas. But during the course of the film, the angel teaches the bishop that he should actually direct these funds towards helping the needy. And that's a more chivalric and empathetic cause than a new house of God. So the angel totally wants to fuck the bishop's wife. He actively tries to keep the bishop away from his wife. He hangs out with the wife the way the wife has consistently said she wants the bishop to do. They do a really romantic ice skating routine together. I think Cary Grant as the angel is definitely the most inspired choice in this movie because honestly it would fall apart at the seams without him. Lastly, in 1949, Holiday Affair. This film is about a woman who is kind of a mystery shopper for toy stores and goes in to buy products to show their rival companies what the other shops are also selling. But she gets clocked that she's a mystery shopper and stopped by a toy salesman. And from there on, their lives get intertwined and they start liking each other, even though Miss Ennis, the main character, is engaged to be married. The film is all about shopping and cheating on your beloved in the Christmas spirit, and if we can't get behind that, what can we support? It's kind of a dull film because the leads have very basic level chemistry, where we do want them to have an affair, but they don't even really commit to the affair because that would be too immoral. So how far can we really like this film? That was my 1940s Christmas watch. It was an interesting ride. I think the movies have an endearing, soft quality about them, but I do think many of them lack the sense of spark that It's a Wonderful Life has in Bounds, which perhaps is the reason that it's the movie that really stood the test of time. Has gone on to become the Christmas movie.